Yup, yeah. A few years ago, the journalist of the popular edition Wired, Ewan Ratliff, vanished on the redaction segment. The magazine's readers would be offered a $5,000 reward if they could locate him. The journalist did his best to not be found. He was using one of phones, had thrown out his documents, and manned new ones. Grew a mustache and shaved, changed his habits and name. Was avoiding the surveillance cameras and hitting the road. The readers found him on the 25th day of his disappearance by hacking his store. That seems unbelievable because it's store and even was doing a great job. Here is a puzzle. What did your grandmother have you don't have now? It starts on P. The party ticket? A pioneer's tie? No. Privacy. What's wrong with privacy in the 21st century? It just doesn't exist. Nowadays, you can always locate anybody via your mobile phone. A profile on a social network gives a full picture of the personality. Connection to the Wi-Fi in your favorite cafe gives the malefactor access to the tenderest information. The history of credit cards purchases can tell us more things than the most intrusive neighbor. Maybe somebody is spying on you via the seemingly off cameras now. I wonder if someone of you suffered at the hands of Jared Abrahamson. At first sight, an ordinary guy. Don't worry, he had been arrested by FBI in 2013. But despite of it, he still makes me to put tape on my computer's camera. Skunk. Jared broke into reality of 150 women and recorded the most intimate details of their lives under the nickname A Cutie and Furry Puppy via remote control of Red. One of them is the Miss Teen USA Kissy DeWolf. To date, almost every internet users trust his private information to 200 different databases and services. The interactive site Do Not Track can tell you who and where you are during using it, and a lot more interesting things about you. But there is a question. Why do you need to hide the internet at all? You are not a robber. You shouldn't jump to conclusions. Every person has a moment in his life when he wants to go to the shop and to get back in a couple years. One of the most legendary stories that was happening in front of us is the story of Edward Snowden, a guy who was working for NSA until he had stolen 1,700,000 secret files. He took a vacation on the pretext of the epilepsy treatment, said goodbye to his girlfriend and moved to Hong Kong, where he engaged in the encrypted correspondence with the Guardian journalists, using all rules of conspiracy. Clean phone, network of reliable VPN. Minimal contacts with anyone, and an invisible bag every time he tapped a password. Edward has opened the secret of American officials spying on every citizen of the world. The scandal has acquired an immense. All US agencies has been trying to find it. Nevertheless, it was 3 weeks before he had been noticed. After that, he moved into Russia and the country has granted him political asylum. And Edward is still somewhere in Kropotkinskaya. The secret of Snowden's disappearance is determination, calm, knowledge, and time management. But it's not enough. At first, you need to get rid of all what has battery. For example, the rich smartphone collects information about your location even in brick mode, unless his battery is completely removed. Get rid of your phone, tablet, and computer. Social networks can detect you in a second without regulation. Geolocation satellites record your route to within 1 meter. Using cryptography can help you to protect your accomplices' identities. Just cash. Plastic cards are highly unacceptable. Same thing with a fur coat and tuxedo. The simpler you look, the more discreet your fur cameras. They will be waiting for you at crossing, in subway cabs, in stairwells. To fight with cameras at night, you need to put on a baseball cap with color infrared LED light bubbles. They disable and system visual observation at night. But how can you fool the system in the daytime? There are a couple of interesting options. One of them is chaotic makeup. It'll drive crazy any system of visual observation. Here it's less radical versions. This thing will help guys. My body is as hands. It's difficult to avoid detection, and sometimes even very sophisticated methods can help you. But you shouldn't forget about radical ones. Giovanni Arboledo is a Colombian huckster who successfully escaped from prison. Notice he spent 12,000 pounds on breast implants and buttock. He changed hair and began to wear female clothing. Arboledo had got into a character so terrific that he became a prostitute Rosalinde. But once one of the Guardians had recognized the huckster, And Reboledo got back to the prison again for 6 years. The secret of perfect disappearance isn't about changing your look. It's confusing the trails right and giving misinformation felicitously give you 90% of success. But tricking somebody is not so easy. You need to completely get into character. Try to introduce yourself with a different name for a few days. What's your name? I am Eschens. What? You got to admit, it's not so easy as it looks like. You need a talent and incredible self-confidence to create a new identity. Christophe Rancourt has those qualities. He is one of the most famous conmen of modernity. Rancourt grew up in an orphanage and became an adult as quickly as he earned his first million by selling someone else's property. Rancourt is a pathological liar. He was a Prince Galitz in France, Sophie Loren's son in California, a Rockefeller's heir in New York. He could easily gain the trust of the rich. Some deluded by him men are Mickey Rourke, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Naomi Campbell, and hundreds of unknown millionaires. Attribution on someone else's name is a serious crime, but there is more reliable method to mislead the public. It has been used from the time immemorial, and it's called the own death mark. That's the way the American politician John Stonehouse thought. Once he undressed on the beach, put his clothes, took a dip, and nobody has ever seen him again. He was noticed in Australia a month later. He was an ordinary clerk, a bank's worker. He has been arrested for 7 years. And it's just because he didn't respect the rules of conspiracy. I wonder if there are many dead people are walking across the world now. As for the British journalist Anne Applebaum, a quarter of suicide accomplished on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco isn't real. Of course, we don't know successful stories of disappearance, and that's why they are successful. Scientists find new ways to detect a person every year. The fingerprints, the retina, genetic material, the shape of face, unique regions of heartbeat, bacterial prints, and even the way to detect while walking, and the shadow you cast that's recorded by satellite. The Fun Fate series that has become popular not so long ago and found many Russian porn actresses in social networks can photo you in a subway and find all information about you in a second. For example, in VK. That's what Yegor Tverkov has done in his project. Your face is a lot of information. Number of right answer is being reduced for the equation how to disappear. Modern technologies make this task almost impossible. And if it is possible, maybe we just should stop buffing about it. So, it's a good time for you to relax and live your own life so that you never want to disappear. And as usual, yup, Jan.